Okie dokie. Alright. And now close that stuff out, turn on the power mode and screen lock. On my phone, I can start music. While I let stuff load up on my phone, I will sleep. And there we go. Showing off, yeah. Oh, also double check to make sure, like, let's go with 240p. What I really need to know is just that it's coming through and it's not looking weird and stuttery. 144p sometimes looks weird and stuttery, because YouTube is no longer optimized for, wouldn't you know, optimized video. Weird. Anyway, hi everyone. How you doing? Why am I getting an ad on an embedded video? An embedded video with no footage, mind you. You know what, sometimes I wonder why things are the way they are, and I don't really get a solid answer, ever. I'm not gonna question this. Anyways, hi everyone! I'm back from vacation. I got held up at the airport yesterday. I missed my flight by about a minute. Mine was leaving just as I got to the goddamn gate. I had to run across a concourse into the Detroit airport. That was fun. Anyways, for those who don't know, I was just on vacation. I was visiting with Andrew and my boyfriend, for those who don't know. We're in a long-distance relationship. He lives down south. I live up here, north in the Midwest. North in the Midwest is such a strange term when you think about it in gross words, but if you actually know your geography, I guess that kind of makes sense. Or at least your US geography. But anyway, yeah, I was visiting with him, and then I was supposed to fly home yesterday. I had a connecting flight from the airport I left from to Detroit, and I couldn't get to the airport that I went to. Okay, so instead, I guess this is just a kind of like good thing with some airlines. Sometimes they will just give you a free ticket because you missed your flight due to some sort of connection problem, especially in the case that you were given very little time to begin with, and then if there's any sort of crew problems that screw over everything that make you miss your flight, you can get like hotel credits and view credits and whatever. That's really good that you can do. Like, it's not fun, just sort of being holed up in a random hotel room, even if it's in the actual, like, airport, but, whatever. But now I'm home, I'm all nice and back in my chair, I'm able to stream again, and, show off what I built here. Okay, so, over the course of, several months, I have been working and flying in this mod pack that I call Build-a-ville. It uses mine colonies, and it's kind of focused around mine colonies and building in general. But if anyone doesn't know what mine colonies is, it effectively, it's this. So what you see before you are a mix of structures and some decorations that I have built, and like my own versions of existing structures that are from mine colonies. Let me get this. This is the magic wand in a sense, of mine colonies. So in mine colonies, you have a system that basically perturbs to workers and their careers. Your citizens in your village, or your... It's called a colony in mine colonies. I refer to mine colony. Village is simpler, but this isn't Minecraft Comes Alive. It doesn't use the normal villager system. This is entirely its own thing. Normal villages do still spawn, and the only way to get mine colony colonists is to start up a colony. Now, quick rundown at mine colonies. When you start, you can either craft a supply ship chest, which is just 5 boats, or a supply camp chest, which is just 5 chests. This will spawn either of those structures. You will get a building tool from that. Actually, I recommend you use a building tool to some extent. Or I forget how to. Wasn't there some sort of special thing about it where it gave you a building tool to place it, and then it gave you a different building tool or something? Okay, you know what? I forget, but the thing is, you can only have 1 colony per world, so I guess I can't show you guys. Either way, you start off with one of those 2 things, then you get this building tool. Then you need to make a builder. This builder does not have the same building style as the rest of this place. Actually, this place has some varied building styles, just for the sake of having things look different. Like, for example, that is the same style, or is the same type as that, but they're completely different buildings. They have different sizes, based on, like, what style. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. They're different workers, and their places of work have different names. These are all like sort of a center block, I guess you could say. They're a workstation, sort of like the new villagers in 1.14, if you've seen any of that sort of stuff. If you're just tuning in, by the way, hi. If you don't know too much about Minecraft, don't worry, I'll try and be gentle. Especially modern Minecraft. Some people really don't know the full extent of are. I mean, to be fair, there are plenty of very obscure mods. Some people only ever play with magic mods. Some people wholeheartedly delve only into tech mods and know that magic mods exist. I am one of the people who loves magic mods but barely even plays with them because of the fact that sometimes I just can't be bothered. Or just I'm not as interested in them as doing some sort of simple automation that actually feels like it has some sort of breadth in the rest of the world. But this pack does not have any sort of special magic or tech, really. This pack is dedicated to building and building on its own. It does have quite a few mods, it does have a lot of aesthetics, and right now I am using a custom version of the version 2 new Minecraft textures. So like you have cobblestone. I'm in creative mode. I gotta remember that. I can't just break. The new glowstone, which I love. An older form of the new stone bricks. I think they've been smoothed out a little bit more, possibly. But I do still really like all these. I also really love the way the leaf textures look. I will say that the color difference was a little less in the old default, which, by the way, I was not playing with this resource pack when I originally placed all the foliage, so that's why it's pretty much just all oak leaves here. I didn't really care. I wanted a little bit of coloration in these, so that's why there's a mix of oak and acacia and birch throughout them. I just decided to go with 3 different leaf types because that was all I thought I needed. And in the end, I think that's pretty much the case. It looks nice. I did build this section, by the way. You will not find any mine colony structures that look like this, especially because they have chisels and bits pots. A kind of sad thing is that there's a mod called modular flower, not modular flower pots, Gardenworks, and it has the remains of a mod called modular flower pots. Now those modular flower pots have not been put back into the newer version for 112, and so I'm kind of stuck just using these chiseled rocks. They're actually terracotta, with a small hole cut down and then filled with coarse dirt so that it reaches the top. I would have it set down a little bit, but that would just add more rectangles. Minecraft always works in rectangles. It's made up of 2 triangles. That's one of the main reasons why Minecraft is so resource intensive. It has no way of smoothing things out any further than flat. Anyways, this is just a really simple chisel bit. It is a little bit annoying trying to do this sort of thing in creative mode because it's hard to get the actual bits that you need to be able to fill something back up. Like if you're having or hollowing this out like I did. I didn't hollow the entire thing out, I just like dug it out a layer down, but that's all I really needed to do. It looks kind of nice. Just use some sort of vanilla techniques to make the building look cooler. A lot of Minecolonies uses that sort of thing. Minecolonies doesn't depend on any other mods that aren't like included. There is a sub mod to Minecolonies that you automatically get built into Minecolonies. It's called Structurize. It's just a child mod. It's not a separate thing. You can just find it on its own as Structurize. The reason it's split out is, I think, for item ID tracking and stuff. Plus, all of the stuff with Minecolonies is all the villager AI and these blocks, which relate to, well, not villager AI, the colonist AI, which, well, there is no spawn egg for colonists. There are spawn eggs for enemies, like pirates and barbarians. And I think depending on what you start out with, or like what sort of area you have, it does determine whether you have pirates or barbarians, but I don't have mob spawning turned on right now, so I don't have to worry about having any guards or what have you. So for those who actually know Minecolonies, I'm going to fly into my town hall, which, by the way, yes, is actually quite far from my town center. I moved my town hall because originally, if I can get back to where it originally was, it was right here, and there was not a lot of room. It was actually going to wind up expanding into where the mine was, and not only was I not going to have a path through there, I didn't want to have to deal with where it was positioned, so I moved it all the way over here. And the town borders don't change, so it's a little bit, oddly placed, I guess. Especially because the fact is, I had originally built it in a different style, I think. That, or it's just the fact that the door moves when it goes from level 1 to 2. No, that's right, I had built it in a wooden style, now that I remember. I had originally started building everything in the wooden style, but then I switched over to medieval oak. That's right. Okay, so I guess I'll go over with that fact. So Minecolonies with this building tool. And one of the professions, the first profession you have to set up, basically, is the builder. The builder, with Minecolonies, does all of the building for you. You don't have to place a single block of this. You use the building tool to do that. That is way more effective. It's also way smarter to do that than just sort of haphazardly placing down a block that might actually need to be up in the air Y level or 2. For example, you see these stairs? This is intended to be at the level that it's at. Any lower and these stairs just sort of go down into a layer of ground at the same level. Just, oh god, no. Don't try and build something. It would look just like that. that just wouldn't be kind of... so it needs to be one level up. You also have to have the thing at the right place relative to all your other buildings. Because keep in mind, you only have so much space to be able to build these. This is a chunk boundary. It's based around where you put your town center, which was originally right here. And as you can see, this is basically the center of the buildable of the area shown here. If it loads up that far border. I'm not 100% sure why it's all the way over here. This seems to be displayed as a central chunk. I think I had the town hall just about over here, so that would be kind of why it seems a little bit weird. Or maybe it's just a loading error. I don't know. Either way, the town hall was about here. And it wasn't in the best location, I will say. And the original supply camp was over here. I did demolish it so that I could start building up the mine. And originally I was just sleeping on what was just like this large mound, which I guess the mine is on top of a small mound, by the way. Which is a little bit strange, but I mean... what are you gonna do with all the dirt that you're throwing up when you dig down, I guess? You build a small hill around the top. Anyway, I was just sort of sleeping on the hilltop until I built this. This is the only structure that I myself built. You can tell that it looks very different from all the rest, right? It looks kinda ugly. It is not well, its style is based off of the medieval oak, but it physically is not modeled after it at all. It actually looks quite ugly, and I do want to redo this at some point, but I'm just gonna leave it for now because I can't be bothered. I think I might make the base level into stone brick, maybe expand it vertically, move it somehow. I'm not sure, but I'll figure that out when I get to that. Anyway, when you build in mine colonies, when the building is placed with this thing, okay, let me actually get one of these. What has all the styles that I can remember? The delivery man does. Okay, so when you place down a building, if you click on the ground, especially if you're holding one of these in your hotbar, I'm gonna skip that song. That song too. Sure. When you place it down, you get this little GUI, and if you right-click again while it's still like this, you can move and position as you wish. I'm just gonna bring it up into the air so that you can see it. Just imagine at this sort of a level, if you see something like gravel, or fences, under the fences, or this sort of gravelly level, like where it seems like a box, just imagine it's surrounded by grass. The idea of having it like this is so that you can build sort of your own paths out. This is the Acacia style. It's not my favorite style, but I will say it definitely is pretty in its own ways, and to boot, it really emphasizes trying to have railways and canals throughout your town with the Acacia style. The birch style seems to be semi-modern, I think? It's inspired by modern styles. It also has stuff like train tracks going through it. A lot of these generally start quite ugly. The dark oak, by the way, is all tree houses, so like you will see things like this. This is meant to be near the ground, intentionally, I think. Though you can just sort of build it in the air, and I mean you're supposed to sort of just connect these with the bridges. There's also the Dwarven style, which is my least favorite of all the styles, because, let me sort of just quickly show you. The Dwarven style, I believe, is meant to be underground, So, or like in a ravine? Thing? I'm not 100% sure. But let me start off with that. This one doesn't have a designated floor type. I'm on the looks of it, so I guess. It starts up as wood and cobblestone. Okay. Then it turns into wood and wood logs. But it gains a bookshelf and a bed. Okay. Then it becomes birchwood. It gains a cauldron and a few more shelves. And spruce wood. Okay. Then level 4 gains nether brick. Level 5 gains endstone and prismarine, or sea lanterns and prismarine and purple. It's my least favorite style, especially because it turns out so weird in the end. I will say this is not a terrible color choice, but nope, I'm not a fan. I am not a fan of this whatsoever. And then medieval birch, medieval dark oak, and medieval oak, and medieval spruce. These tend to be very similar styles. They are all medieval styles. So basically what you get is more or less the same thing, especially with medieval oak and medieval birch, with very slight differences, mostly with wood palette. And these sort of little blocks, these Tudor wood frames that are part of the Structurized mod, as well as like glass pane colors and flower choices. So like medieval dark oak, instead of having those lines back and forth and having an open square in the middle, and instead of having yellow, there are these sort of vertical lines, and there's red, and there's black, and red stained glass, and there's a mushroom in the pot. The wood is obviously dark oak themed. This is the oak version. This is the spruce version. This is sandstone. Now, sandstone is a little bit weird. It uses cactus. Tons of daylight sensors. It does have rails for some reason. I'm not sure if the the sandstone theme really is meant to have rails run through it, but like, there's also cactus wood that you can get that's part of Structurized. I'm gonna use add structure. Yeah, you can get cactus wood from cactus, like it was a oak log or something. So weird, but I guess. There's also Space Wars, which I believe is designed to be for if you have a very small colony, or if you are trying to pack a ton of the same buildings into each other. It might also be for like actual space. This looks vaguely like a spaceship. I've noticed most of the buildings go down. As well as the fact that a lot of them just be like floating islands almost. So I think that might be what the Space Wars theme is supposed to be. But I don't know, because it's never been confirmed. And it's just sort of like, how does this make sense? Then there's Taiga, which, my goodness, it's I don't know, it's sort of Norwegian, I guess? Scandinavian, maybe? It has the really tall roofs, a lot of spruce and cobblestone. The buildings sort of just get a little bit fancier, usually, on the inside and out for the first few levels, and then they grow really tall, and then they get very few changes between levels 4 and 5. That's Taiga for you. Mesa is really simple, and it builds up really basically, but it still looks kind of cool, and I think that would be a nice theme in a completely different world and completely different setting. Stone is a counterpart to wooden, which, by the way, wooden's right here. The delivery man down below is not fully leveled. It is level 4, yes. And then we're back at Acacia. So, not all buildings have the medieval styles. There are some that don't. If I'm not mistaken, I'm forgetting what buildings do not have a medieval style. If they have a stone theme to them, like these seem to, that means that they don't have a medieval style. I believe this one might not. A lot of the later buildings that I have wooden or stone style because there's no medieval style for them. For example, this one, I believe, is one of the first ones that I had, the Stonemason, that doesn't have a medieval style. If I remember correctly, it doesn't have a medieval style. Actually, we can check that right away. Stonemason. Acacia, Dark Oak, Dwarven, Sandstone, Space Force, Stone, Wooden, Acacia. Yeah, no, it doesn't have medieval styles. And if you lack any of the medieval styles, you probably lack the Taiga style too. Does that have the Taiga style? Some don't have Space Wars either, too, so it kind of depends. I think the Lumberjack might not have Space Wars. Maybe it does. It depends. I'm forgetting, but anyway, it really depends on the anyway, a lot of these sort of buildings are just designed to be functional and pretty. Many of the styles are a lot of fluff, but just as many are incredibly small, simple buildings, like this. There are consistent themes throughout all of them as well. For example, the mine always has this sort of hole in the middle. A lot of the time there's a crane involved. And generally, there is a building beside the actual mine block, sometimes containing it, but usually not, as the mine is right next to the shaft sort of structure like this, which extends down a level and then just sort of simplifies to this sort of stone style, which is, I think, much more universal. The builder always has a ton of blocks around. This is the wooden style, and over behind the restaurant, right here, is my other builder. There are so many building tasks that I need to have them do that I have two builders, and they're both always busy. I may, in the distant future, once I am done with all the actual building and upgrading, switch over to having, or most of the building and upgrading, switch over to having one of them doing another job, because at the moment I don't have very much space for residential, and I don't really have too much need for more residential. I should have enough room in all of the buildings that I have now, and all of them placed anyway, for all of the colonists that I will require. I'll just give you that one last one, Lucas. Anyway, this, if you look upstairs, you see just sort of the randomness of the blocks in here, and especially more so downstairs. This does have a basement to it. You can see all of the stuff just are placed around. You'll notice purpur and endstone, tons of stuff like nether brick, glowstone, magma blocks, tons of terracotta and concrete. When you start building further and further up in levels, especially with the builder, it's really just trying to say, do you have such and such materials, because they will be required in various versions and styles, and you should be at such and such point in your playthrough experience. So, yeah. They all generally have the same sort of requirements. Like this side, this has purple, this has prismarine, and nether brick and red nether brick, glowstone and sand and or soul sand, all kinds of stuff. The food I have is too raw to eat. Excuse me, but you're a fisherman. Where are you, by the way? Oh, you just have raw fish. That explains it. Oh, there's a raw fish over here. Also, puffer fish. And the delivery men, they just sort of run around. Yeah. Oh no, this is a delivery man 5. Oh. Oh, I must have been looking at it from the wrong direction then. Or I just wasn't noticing the fact that there are flower pots. Okay. By the way, I built these pillars myself. They sort of established the town boundary. At one point, this was much further out. It was based on the block distance that Mine Colony's village was able to go. Mine Colony's village. Yeah, I'll just keep calling it a village. Now it's based on the chunk boundaries that it goes to. Anyway, there are a ton of things that you can build with, that you can make the builders build. Is the library done being built? This doesn't look done. Oh, you know what? I can see how it would look like that, in a sense. Okay, this isn't too bad on the inside. Oh, okay, cool. Build options. Builder, Lincoln, because you're closer. Also, I want you to continue building this like as soon as possible and as quickly as possible. Of course it's floating. Of course it's floating. Ugh. Fix that. Maybe I'll have to reposition it. Ooh. Might as well get that first. Cancel the upgrade. Build options. Reposition. Down to Y levels. Okay, so the block will move itself, and the builder will adjust himself to that. And so that should make everything work right. So, by the way, originally I had my library built in the medieval oak style, but, and that's where this courtyard comes from. I'm thinking I'm gonna, probably either demolish it or try and place a hovering version of the library schematic above and build this up to the library, the full-size medieval oak version of the library's standards, and adapt this somewhat to that, because once it reaches level 5, as long as the chests, the actual library block, and the any sort of function blocks. So for this, there are no function blocks here. Bookcases do not serve as function blocks. A library, for example. A library doesn't have any function blocks. What do serve as function blocks, however, are things like crafting tables and furnaces. Even though those don't really count most of the time, they don't actually have the ability to use them. For some professions, they do. So they need to be able to have access to their work, their structure block, the lumberjack's block, for example, which holds its own internal inventory, but also a lot of them tend to have like shelves on the side or like chests on the side. like over here, there's this crafting table and these 2 racks. They're as well as a furnace right there. This is the stone smeltery. So the stone smelter requires all of these things based on what the style is to be present. And there's another furnace there. If those are like missing, I don't know if they're required to be in the same place, but if there isn't that number based on whatever level this is at, it will possibly invalidate it, and there might sometimes be some sort of message from your person saying my productivity is limited, or something like that. But anyway, a lot of these builds are really cool. Like, look at these sort of furnace styles like this. It looks really so cool. I mean, it uses magma blocks, for crying out loud. This is such a perfect use for that. And then just blocks of coal and iron. You can probably tell how this gets quite expensive, especially considering this is just a solid star. There is no middle block in there to sort of say, hey, this is just for decoration. No, that's supposed to look like it's actually usable. Your miner will be very busy. Miner or miners, if you have multiple throughout your colony. Mine just seems to laze around all day. He doesn't do crap. I see. But who knows? He might actually sometimes work. And I think the most he does really is gather stone. So yeah. I don't know whether or not he's broken. I think he might be, but I don't know. Anyway, there's the toolsmith. There's citizen huts. This is one. I'm not upgrading it to a higher level to match that. First of all, so that it looks. You can see how that looks different than this, but they are very much like sort of a sister style. They look very similar, while not being completely identical. They're in the same vein of building style. They have a lot of similar structural elements, but this one looks a little different. This is just a lower level. The only reason it's staying a lower level, besides trying to look different, but really that's just a sort of nice consequence, is because of how close these 2 buildings are. This is an important building to the city. This is also the reason why the library couldn't be in the medieval oak style. This is to that. Next level of the library from where this was cut off from would extend into this, so I couldn't leave it like that, sadly. I had to either move it, which no, I couldn't do. I couldn't move it far enough back, as you can see based on this border. I couldn't move it far enough back. And I also couldn't just sort of... I didn't want to leave it as a low level of an upgrade, because once you get new colonists spawning, which will happen whenever you have empty space colonist homes, whenever you get them to spawn, you usually want to send them off to a library. If you get a ton of them spawning all at once, you want to send a ton of them to the library, but you can only have so many colonists that, quote, employed or studying at the library or all at once. It depends on its level, and this is what, level 2? Level 3? I needed it to be level 5. I want all my buildings to be up as high as a level as they can be. This building withstanding, it's okay if it's smaller. It looks nice as it is. But like beautiful functioning buildings like this, the sawmill, especially the sawmill, I will get to that in a moment. Or like the builder has to be top level to be able to build top level buildings. Those all those all make the most sense to just make the highest level they can be. They're huge, especially in the medieval oak style, but I think it's worth it because it looks really pretty. And also, I can just utilize the fact that they tend to look pretty good. It looks like a proper town, wouldn't you say? It looks like a proper town. Anyway, continuing on, you can do a lot of the work yourself, building a mine colony as well. I'm in creative mode, so I don't have to worry about resources. So let's go over here and say, oh, I'm going to give you all your dirt, your flower pots, your glass panes. You know how to make chests and doors and fences. You know how to gather wood logs and planks, craft slabs and stairs, but you don't know how to get tulips. In fact, I don't think there is a way for them to just get tulips out of nowhere. They don't have any access to spruce wood. Stone bricks are kind of difficult for them to make, so I'm just going to do it for them. White wool, they know how to make trapdoors, but I'm just going to give them to them as well. As well as stairs, because there's too many of them for me to really say that they can do it on their own. That sort of thing. I supply them with resources. If you're building in mine colonies, you will have to do that yourself for a long time. It's just sort of part of the grind for an early part until you can get them to automate all of their own stuff. So, for example, they require tools to be able to do their trade. I just realized that the backs of all of these have been removed. Oh, I think it's part of the leveling process. Oh. I'll let it finish building up and then I'll put the backs back on these. These are just sort of like similar flower pots without being exactly the same. They're supposed to be a little bit more rudimentary. But yeah, I like all these trees that I've placed. Anyway, I want to continue on. This is another citizen's hut that will come up. It's in the wooden style. This is alt wood. Most buildings actually don't have an alt wood style as far as I remember. But the citizen's hut does. It has a second wood style. And it looks like this when it's fully built up, which is kind of strange. Actually, I feel like it should have more to that flower pot. Or that window flower thing. Yeah. Okay. Now that actually looks complete. Maybe trapdoors were removed from that for some reason, but I don't think they were. Some of these buildings do need little touch-ups, I guess you could say, to make them look nicer. And you can totally do that, but bear in mind a lot of those touch-ups, or, well, basically all of them, will be undone once you actually get to doing the level up process. So do it once they're at top level, or at the top level that you want them at. So, this will be a different style wood hut. And then this pier I built myself. It has a bridge that goes all the way over to the swineherder's hut. There is no swineherder at the moment because I don't have enough colonists to be able to do that. Over here, this giant area with all of this stuff dug out, which takes forever, by the way, so I helped along with a lot of TNT. Does not help too much that a lot of it wound up actually being filled back in because I thought that the hole was too big. But it helped, I'm certain. Because it takes a while for your builders to be able to dig stuff out, especially when they are especially low level, like Lakina Batley was. I think even Lucas Cressley is actually pretty low level. Both of them need to be sent to the library at some point in order for them to be able to like proper level up. I'm thinking that I will switch out and optimize my villagers at some point in the future, but you know what, for now, they are doing just fine. Anyway, this is like the craziest structure I have seen. next to the library. Okay, you know what? I need to totally show you what the medieval library looks like. Where's the... That's Town Hall. Library. I will also go ahead and grab the sawmill if I can find the block for it. Sawmill. So the library helps you level up your villagers after they spawn. I will place this way high up in the sky because there's actually quite a lot that goes down from the placement of the block. Acacia, Dark Oak, Dwarven, Medieval Birch actually starts off pretty big. Well, all of the medieval versions start off pretty big actually. So you can probably see where that sort of comes from. If I go to Medieval Oak, because all the medieval versions are pretty much just like colorized, stylized versions of each other. Medieval Oak version 1. Version 2. You can see how it starts to really get bigger. And yes, that is level 2. Wow. And then level 3. This is the expansion I was talking about that would have ruined the warehouse. Sadly, it's kind of hard to be able to fully place things and think, oh, this isn't going to be a problematic thing. No, it totally was going to be. Just look at how big this gets. It's massive, and then level 4, it gets a lot more stone-like. And then level 5, you can see how this sort of expands. This pops up, that pops up. And then there's additional decorations and stuff. Medieval Dark Oak has a very similar theme, as well as Birch. I mean, all of them are basically identical. Spruce is the only one that sometimes changes. Now, the thing with Medieval Spruce is that it follows this somewhat cousin vein to both the medieval versions and the Taiga version. Now, in some buildings, it's identical to all the other medieval versions. However, the library is one of the few examples of how it sort of just incorporates things like nether brick, smaller versions of staple features. Like with all the medieval versions, there's a courtyard. Well, it has a smaller courtyard here. And this sort of library area, it has this sort of desk-like area with the sort of covering awning thing. It has a side entrance. It takes a lot from the medieval version while still being like so physically different. It's actually really bonkers how it partakes upon that. So that's the library. And the sawmill. This is level 4, I think. So it starts off with no sort of dugout bit. It just starts off with a small building to the side. And then level 2, it digs out a ton of stuff. Or no. Is it level 3? Crap. I forget what. Yeah, it's level 2 where it digs out the first bit, and then level 3, it digs out the rest, and then it places a bit of a side building in level 2, it places a bit of a side building in level 3, and then it expands it up to this height in level 4, which you can see here. Level 5 has some slight alterations, I think, to make it look a little bit fancier. To make it just like physically look a little bit different and such. So yeah, I do realize now that actually this pier should probably either go bridge like right here, Or actually, yeah, we'll have to go bridge-like. In order for it to look, you know, like the logs could actually be pulled out of the water right here. This sort of waterfall right here, yeah, it looks cool, but I mean, that only serves to sort of help the idea that this is flowing inward and this is all the wood that's being just sort of floated down the river and brought to the sawmill, which, by the way, looks real proper here. Gotta say, it looks cool. I mean, just all of these buildings look really cool. But especially the sawmill. The sawmill was one of the things that I saw, and it was just immediately like, what the hell? Why does that look like that? That is so strange, but so awesome. I mean, just this giant dip in the ground is just like one of the most block-intensive things in this entire town. Because you need to have all of that stone underneath all of that grass. And I don't even know where to begin with it. It's just madness. I mean, the library is also... Actually, the library in medieval oak style is the most block-intensive thing I have ever run into. Even level 1 is huge! And then level 2 is replacing a ton of that stuff. So it's... And then expanding it even more. Same with level 3. Like, level 3 would have taken for fucking ever. So I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't, that version, but I mean, it is quite sad because it is a really pretty building. I do really wish I could have it, and I will figure out how to make this look a little bit more like the version. But anyway, it's madness. This mod is crazy. And that's not even to begin to get into the fact that this is, like, not the most of the mods. I mean, sure, there's stuff like chisels and bits along for the ride, but there's also, like, dynamic surroundings. That you don't hear the footsteps. There are supposed to be nice, pretty footsteps. There's the extended leaves. I have the falling leaves turned off. Oh wait, no I don't. I have them turned down, that's right. Excuse me. Hi, Chevion? Or... Chevion, yeah. I was like, am I having a dyslexic moment? I swear I'm not dyslexic, but sometimes if I read things fast, I do mix up letters. That's just something the human brain normally does. As far as I know. But yeah, I was tested for dyslexia. I don't have dyslexia. Sometimes I just mix up two letters. Anyway, Chevion, yeah, hi! But yeah, the whole place just looks... It takes a lot of time to build up, too. It takes a lot of time. I have spent so many hours basically just watching my builders work. It requires a little bit of micromanaging too. Like for example, you need to manage what fuels they can use. For example, I have turned off the normal coal fuels for a lot of places. This is one of the only places where coal is allowed. That's just because I can't make this this worker. The only recipes that can be put in here are furnace recipes. I can't make it be able to craft its own tiny coal to save on coal. And I mean, everywhere else is using tiny coal. Like here, the smeltery. Come on, quick. Coal. Normal coal is off. Mini charcoal, and coal nuggets are all enabled. Everything else is disabled. Just like, that's the only fuel that it can use. Same with the bakery. Actually, I don't think the bakery even technically has any ability to use fuel. It's the same with the... Who else does smelting? Now that I think about it. I can't think of anyone, actually. Are those the only two places that do smelting? No. Can't be. I'm neglecting somewhere. I feel like it. I feel like I'm neglecting somewhere. But I think that might be it. Everywhere else is a normal crafter. Or just like they fish. Like the fisherman's hut. By the way, is one of the weirdest ones because it trips off sometimes saying that there's no water nearby, or it's too far from water, even though the guy is just stuck on the ground, sort of just bobbing up and down like this next to the place. Like, no problem at all, really. I don't know what goes on with these villagers sometimes, but I don't know. I make do. Anyways, just so long as they work most of the time, it's good. It's all good. Yeah. Anyways, the place generally just sort of runs on its own once you get to a certain point. Minus a handful of crafting ingredients, generally the builders are able to build all on their own. You just need to supervise them a little bit, and that's about it. Your lumberjack will collect all the wood that you need. Most of the time, buildings will be built out of wood. Your miner will collect all the stone, or you can collect tons of stone as well, which is honestly pretty easy. You can automate it with a lot of mods. You can't. Well, not properly. I mean, you can have a highly lossful TNT duper doing on a cobblestone generator, but that would be like as all hell. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna quick go through the other mods that are in here because there's actually quite a few. I guess mod options allows you to go through. There's obviously Forge. I have smooth font put in here. So actually, is smooth font even like functioning properly? Controls. Category. Okay, it's home. I'm gonna put it to multiply. I put in smooth font, but I never actually set it up so that I had a different font. That would help. Do I want like Arial or Calibri? Or Calibri Light? Calibri. I'm gonna say Calibri. That's what I'm used to saying. A lot of people have said it's Calibri, but Calibri. Calibri is what I always say. Do I want Calibri Light? I'm gonna go with Calibri. Apply. And let's hope that it doesn't take forever to... Oh, there we go. It actually is pretty fast to apply. Okay, so this is what it looks like when I have Calibri turned on. I'm actually going to see, what does Cambria look like? Okay, yeah. Generally with a lot of the custom fonts in Smooth Font, well, it's not in Smooth Font. They're all installed on your system. They all have. Generally with custom fonts using the Smooth Font mod, I would generally go with serif font, because sans serif fonts, like the Unicode font in Minecraft, it doesn't have the ability to add serif to things to make it look like proper text, especially with the spacing by default. Advanced options, font. Specify the character spacing. Okay, that actually looks really good. There we go, that's a little bit more legible. It has some width to it. It looks stretched though, now that I look at it. SPC width? Gap 1 versus gap normal. Normal looks better. Oh, maybe that's just in the menu. I keep pressing the wrong thing. Let's try gap 1, apply, and actually... Yeah, this is more legible in game. It looks weird on the menu. That's it, I think. It might just be the fact that in the normal, in the menus, like, some of the letters have really weird gaps that normally aren't... I think it might be set up for Unicode, or it might be something built into the font that's just a little different. I don't know, it kind of depends on what font you're using. I'm going to stick with Cambria for now, just for the sake of it. Anyway, go back to mod options. I have smooth font, I have foam fix, dynamic surroundings, smooth font, of course. I have additional banners, which gives you more banner stuff, more patterns for banners. Items, obviously. Apple skin, which is really for survival play, just to sort of see things like bad weather, no cookie, a lot of little things like this to help with just quality of life generally, and FPS, like foam fix. Better builder's wands, better advancements to make things look prettier, better foliage, the Binds of Plenty mod, which is in the world type that I'm in, Blood Moon, which is turned down to quite low amounts, but is really just meant to be there for a challenge for the guards. That's about it. Bear in mind that some structures are not very well lit up, but if in all of the normal colonist huts, they will have the correct light levels, as far as I know. You might... I forget if it changes the required light level to spawn. I think I had that turned off in the config. I think that's one of the really mean things that it does to you sometimes. Wherein it has a lower, but still present chance of spawning mobs in higher light levels, up to 9 instead of 7, so that your torches have a little less power. Yeah. The blur mod is why this background looks so hazy. Bonsai trees, they grow wood for you. Removes most of the need for lumberjacks, but I really just have that in there if you really want to use it. If you don't want to use bonsai trees, then don't feel bad about it. Builder's guides. Does builder's guides. That's really all it does. It gives you guides for building, for, you know, your own structures if you aren't just relying on a mine colony. Um, chest transporter, you can pick up and move chests, but only you can. Your colonists are not smart enough to be able to use them. Chisels and bits, I've already shown a little bit of that off. Client tweaks, just a little bit of fixing, really. Clipboard gives you a clipboard. Clumps of XP. I have Tinker's Construct and Construct's Armory so that you can have really nice, cool armor. The expansion for Chisels and Bits, extra bit manipulation, gives you chiseled bit armor. I haven't figured out how to make that work, but it is a thing that you can do, and you can make really pretty, like diamond level armor just based on chiseled bits. I super recommend that you look it up. It's cool, but I haven't been able to figure out how to make it work. Anyway, controlling, crafting tweaks, just gives you a little thing that allows you to like help crafting. Creeper confetti, so that it doesn't like, you know, blow up blocks. It still hurts you, but it doesn't wreck blocks without you changing any sort of game modes. Yeah. Wayla, it's actually, here's what you're looking at, or Huayla. Project E to help you along. The Dank Null, Diet Hopper, which strengthens the bounding box to 113 levels. Dirt to Path makes things a little easier. Dynamic Lights make things a little prettier. This is all Dynamic Lights child mods. Well, actually, they're technically created as separate mods within the mod, but I guess that's just how that works. Earthworks, which is really just for prettiness. Effortless building. It makes building easier by providing tools like mirrors, arrays, quick replace, and a block randomizer for survival and creative mode. This is really cool. It does a lot of really cool things. I haven't used it enough though for me to be able to willingly say I super recommend it for everybody, but just like bear in mind, it makes things really easy for mirroring and block randomizing. It's super cool. That's all I'm gonna leave on that. Ender storage, because it's super handy. Extra alchemy, because it's super cool. This is what I was talking about, extra bit manipulation. Gives you like mirroring and sculpting tools for bits to help with things along. If you have it for full-size blocks, why not for bits? Especially for chiseling bits, it's really handy. Fairy lights, they just look pretty. Familiar fauna, it works with and expands upon Biomes of Plenty by adding animals. It's made by the same dev team, or the same few devs, so it's pretty cool. Fast leaf decay, obviously. Fence jumper, just handy. Flat colored blocks, just pretty. Foam fix, feed the beast library and utilities and backups. Garden stuff, I honestly need to get rid of this because it's actually not all that useful in the current state it's in, and I don't think it's been updated in forever, really. As far as I know, anyway. Gravestone mod. Why not? Simple harvest, it just allows you to click and harvest crops. Health fixer, fixes the health command. Heroic armory allows you to find stuff in dungeons. It's called armory, but it's all swords and stuff. The Howling Moon is a werewolf mod. Someone was requesting me to put a werewolf mod in my Lasting Color mod pack, but I felt like it would be much better fit here because you're using colonists, and sadly it does not have any integration with the Mine Colonies mod, but I feel like it would be super cool if it did. The Ichun util, inventory pads, simple inventory sorting, iron backpacks and iron chests, just enough pattern banners, journey map, just enough IDs, which, by the way, use the 113 chunk but where I'm at in 112 to remove block item and biome ID limits. This is a better version of what was that other mod? There was one mod that was really screwing everyone's worlds up when they added it sometimes, and this does it correctly. That's what I'm gonna leave it at. Um, just enough resources, clear slabs, level up. You get XP, you get levels, and stuff. I'll show you that in a moment. Malice's doors, pretty doors, and pretty door animations. Mini coal, mod name tooltip, more overlays, morph. This I haven't used at all, but the main thing is just trying to allow you to fly. I haven't screwed around with it, but I think there's a requirement for you to be able to kill the Ender Dragon or the Wither, or both, in order to be able to actually get the ability to fly. I think that's kind of strange, but you know what? I'm just gonna leave that as is, because like if you're flying around just by morph, I mean it feels a little eh. This is one of the few things that is meant to be balanced in this pack. This pack is basically just all do whatever you want. It's really about building and leveling up your colony, which by the way is a really difficult, hard, time-consuming system in and of itself. Just making that easier is fine by me. And I'm in creative mode. I can just give my villagers all the resources that they need. I have so much trouble keeping up with them on my own that I do have to definitely have them automate their stuff. So it's like, I'm in creative mode. Just imagine what it's like in survival mode, where you actually have to go and collect this stuff in order to be able to help them. Mouse tweaks, nature's compass allows you to find biomes. No mob spawning on trees. Does exactly that. It prevents mob spawning on wood logs. No night vision flashing. A visual mon. Not enough wands. Aura excavation, Pam's simple recipes, placebo, platforms, Psy. This one I really debated for a long time, but it's one of the only tech magic mods that I really feel like would work in here at all. It functions nicely alongside stuff like inventory pets and like random things, which by the way has flu powder in it. You can do a flu network with random things, which is really cool. Like you could teleport across your city just by holding, having a bit of flu powder in your inventory, and going into a fireplace that is set up to be flu fireplace, and just like, poop, and you're away. It's super cool. Realistic item drops, pretty things, redstone paste. Things that are functionable. Regeneration. I decided to put regeneration in this mod pack too, because why not? I think it does still set things on fire, so bear that in mind. But if you regenerate within your village, why not have a little bit of destruction in the meantime? You probably have fire tick turned off anyway. Some of these buildings will burn down if you have fire tick turned off. I think that's a thing within this mod, within the mine colonies, that you should really just have fire tick turned off, because otherwise things will burn sometimes. Well, I take that back. Sometimes things will burn, but usually it will be due to your modifications. So bear that in mind. If you touch anything, it will combust. Sounds like a parody joke of the really clumsy, dumb character who always destroys everything they touch, but that's basically as far as that goes. Rex's additional structures, really basic stuff like this. There's a mod called Structurize out there, or More Structures, or something like that. This is a little bit like a more vanilla-esque version of that. There are a lot of vanilla-style things. Things like temples for planes, really simple dungeons, camps, stuff that really seem to fit the world that you're in. Especially with the fact that you can build a supply camp for your mine colony, which you don't need to keep up, by the way. You can eventually take it down. It's just supposed to act as sort of an original center for you to build out of. And then you probably will wind up building your town hall there. That's a good place for it to be, right next to it. And then you take down the supply camp once you're done building a place for your villagers to sleep. Yeah, rustic, also decoration, a little bit of agriculture, a little bit of exploration, stuff to make the world a little bit cooler. Simple origin is just to make the world a little bit easier. A simple mod to make the vanilla spawn rates easier, as well as add ores to the nether in the end. Straightforward. Simple ore generation. Basically, just a little bit easier. Snad. You're finally able to have your sugarcane grow faster. What could possibly be better than that? Spartan Shields, Tinker's JEI, Tinker's Tool Leveling, Tip the Scales, Toast Control. No, this does not mean, this is not Iguana Tinker Tweaks. This is just tool leveling. It does not force you to use Tinker's tools if you don't want to. Especially because of the fact that your mine colonists need to be able to use normal tools. They can't use Tinker's tools. They do have the ability to craft all the normal vanilla tools. So, keep that in mind. Watch your diamonds. Tip the Scales allows for more control when adjusting GUI size. Again, a lot of slice of life stuff. Toast Control, Torch Master, damage indicators, Trample Stopper. This way you can't trample your own farmland. Or colonists can't trample each other's. That sort of thing. Uppers, Upside Down Hoppers, Vanilla Fix, Bug Fixes, Optimizations, no more crashes, and better crash reports from Minecraft. It's actually super damn useful. Because I've run into problems, especially with the regeneration mod installed. Oh my god, it's so sad. With various mods installed. Vanilla Fix helps by preventing your game from actually crashing. It just means, hey, the world unloads, but all your mods don't need to change anything. Unless you know you actually want to go and update a mod. In that case, you're totally fine. Otherwise, just go back to your world and don't do what you just did. Follow that one crash report headline. / don't do that. Crayfish's vehicle mod, which is really cool. It's currently in development, but it's really cool. You can make cars that actually drive. Vicecraft, flying things. Airships. The difference between the vehicle mod and Vicecraft is just sort of what style of that you want to do. The thing with Vicecraft is that it's all airships. The vehicle mod gives you planes, not trains, planes and automobiles, basically. That's what it gives you. Harvestability, waystones, more teleportation systems, the weirding gadget, which is a chunk loader, wither skeleton tweaks, which gives you more chances to get wither skeleton heads. They always give a wither skeleton skull fragment. You can get one, you can get a couple, I think, up to 2 each time. As well as if you get a skull, you don't get any fragments that time, but you will get the skull in that case. Like, you have the ability with 9 wither skeletons to get a skull, guaranteed. That makes it so much easier. Orlib support library, dynamic surroundings, structurize, and mine colonies, which are twin mods. Structurize is part of mine colonies, really. It says no child mods. It's within the same jar. That's basically it. It's the Let's Dev Together team. Mod ID mine colonies, mod ID structurize. I mean, they're technically separate, but they are really in the same jar. You won't get one without the other. They codepend on each other. Plain and simple. Why split them apart? Anyways. I sleep. And I continue. Yeah, a lot of them won't actually light fires, I've found out. I'm gonna skip this. I'm gonna skip that. I'll keep that. But in some places they do, I think. Some places they also place lava, but like, I always tend to, with structures like these, I always tend to turn off fire tick. That's just one of the things, especially because I like having fire around. Maybe I'm just a pyromaniac. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Maybe it's pyromania! The way I just said that. That was... I don't know why I feel the need to comment on the way I say things. I should just leave it at that. Maybe it's pyromania! Oh, now I get why that didn't have trapdoors on the front. Because it cuts off there. Okay, but it didn't have any on the bottom either. Huh. Never mind. Anyway, these... I really love this. And I really like how this village has developed. Lincoln Natley is building, and he's currently holed up in here because he's waiting for stuff. I will give him that and that and that and that and that. I will fulfill that because otherwise it will take the crafter forever. I've noticed a lot of the time that my sawmill worker is, well, not here. Constance Cressy. Oh, you were getting food, weren't you? Have a cookie. And a baked potato. Or two. Sorry. You may have actually been on your way to go and get food. I feel bad for recalling her now. They don't actually have to eat all that often. That's pretty good. Anyway, what was I thinking? Yeah, the village progresses kind of slowly. I mean, you can fill in a lot of the gaps and make things nice and decorative. There's also, this building tool has so many awesome things for you. Let's go on a rooftop and raise it up, raise the above the roof. So this is what the supply camp looks like. Just imagine it's on the ground. And this is what the supply ship looks like. It's normally supposed to be in the sea. It looks pretty cool, right? And then you get decorations. There were things like bridge columns, canals, including like a waterfall. They look so cool. Paths, like fancy fork. Okay. Fancy rail bridge. Fancy field. Plain field. A fork in the road, a path corner, a path fork, a path intersection, all of that sort of good stuff. And a lot of rails as well. And tunnels. Rail tunnels. I like that. There's birch. There's a lot of walls as well that you can build. Oh my goodness, I completely forgot that you can do this. You can click on those and go through all the options. Yeah, you can build like the birch wall or the birch gate, which is big and huge and looks cool. Dark oak, you get a ton of... It's a tree house, basically. You get like floating stairs, tree field, the dwarven 2-story basic alley. Look at this. It's literally just a bunch of floating torches. So weird. Makes very little sense. There are a couple of fields. Really, just like a cactus farm, a fancy field, netherwort farm, and a sugarcane farm. Also, that's a different way of spelling sugarcane. Dwarven fields, hut blocks. Those are just the blocks themselves with no setup. Markets. these just sort of look cool. They're a bunch of market stalls. You get the black and blue and multiple mini markets. There's Market Square, like this. It uses some cactus wood and such. Looks kind of cool, right? The Marketplace. Pretty neat, right? Orange and pink mini markets. In a different section, there's another schematic that looks like this. I think. There's a beach, there's a gazebo, there's a simple fountain, there's a stable, there's a town library. I don't know why this exists either. It just sort of does. It's just sort of a structure that's there. There are parks like the hedge maze, an ice rink, ivy-covered benches. Not at all what I based my thing off of it. I wanted to build a better version of that. Playground, play set, I guess the blur mod. I have tried configuring it so that the blur mod doesn't, when you're on this GUI, it doesn't blur the stuff, but I haven't got the correct name yet, so gonna have to make do. Parks, ships, Space Wars, statues, Taiga, all sorts of Taiga walls and gates. The gates for the Taiga are massive and it's gorgeous and cool. A new child is living in my colony, by the way. Infrastructure gives you like bridges, border blocks, and lampposts. The oak bridge, I built it by hand over here based off of the schematic. You don't have to do that normally, but your builders will not build you these schematics that you get off of this thing. Unless it's connected to a hut block. But even then you have to manually go to up to the hut block once it's placed with this to confirm that it will be built as such. Hello, Colomix Orange. Infrastructure roads, just a bunch of paths. Basic style. Mine shafts, walls, dark oak walls, and sandstone and stone. And then wooden gives you a pillar. A single pillar. And I don't know why the lamp seems to be on without any sort of redstone whatsoever. Except for the fact that it's actually got a little redstone torch here. Oh, never mind. That's why it's on. Okay. But anyway, that concludes that. Yeah. Oh boy. I don't speak. I don't know how to say I don't speak German in German. Assuming that's German. Sounds like fragmented German. It sounds like I've been new, but I don't think that's what that's supposed to translate to. Ugh. Anyway. Whee! Back. Okay. Anyway, what are you doing there, Lincoln? Seems like he was stuck. That happens sometimes. They get a little bit dumb. Usually when night comes, though, they figure out how to right themselves, and then they get back about to doing what they're normally doing. I've found that I think it's the Malicestore's mod that sometimes screws them up a little bit with their pathfinding, but it's only kind of by chance. So, Malicestore stays in. I like it. Anyways, the main thing is that... Oh, flickering. No, must be the better foliage mod. Oh, I was calling that dynamic surroundings earlier. No, that's the extra leaves sort of, where it looks like it's sort of got extra stuff coming off of it. That's better foliage. Dynamic surroundings is the thing that normally makes it so that you hear extra sounds and stuff, which, by the way, are going on. They're mostly just drowned out by the song requests that are currently going. Well, they're not song requests. They're just the auto playlist because no one's actually requested music. You can totally do that. Exclamation point SR. Dynamic surroundings also adds little fireflies that surround grass blocks from a distance. If you look closely enough at the grass blocks over there, as it's dark, you might see little glimmers. Yeah, little yellow glimmers. These are supposed to represent fireflies, and they're really pretty cool. One of the first times I actually experienced dynamic surroundings was with shaders in a really basic mod pack I played. I basically just sort of threw it together just to experience dynamic surroundings in a way that would look and sound pretty. I think that was either in 110 or in 112, this version. But yeah, dynamic surroundings is really pretty. That's just what I'm gonna leave it at. Dynamic surroundings is really pretty. I'm gonna skip that one. Sure. I just have a ton of blocks associated to path building and red terracotta. Partially this is because it's for that, but also in case I want to do anything else with sculpting red terracotta, just because red terracotta is the most common non-mesa sort of terracotta. That and normal terracotta, but I prefer the red here. It looks nicer. We have the technology for the red dye. Anyways, these little ads in the embedded videos on the side and Nightbot look so weird. So Lucas held up on something. Hello, legit. Man. Why is my lumberjack just sort of standing there? Maybe because she doesn't feel needed. Recall worker. There she goes. Maybe she was stuck. Sometimes they just get stuck, and that's why that recall worker button is so handy. I will say, I do need to update the mod a little bit more. That is something I need to note. I am a couple versions behind. By a couple, I mean many. What version of Mine Colonies do I have now? I have 10.67, which is an alpha. There have been no proper releases since I updated to the alpha I'm at in the middle of April. It is now the middle of May, and they are at version 10.285. 10.267 to 10.285. That's how many updates Mine Colonies gets. I'm only hoping that the villager AI is smarter 18 versions from where I am right now. But, you know, sometimes hope doesn't get you anything. All it does is get you a couple more structures instead. Or, like, shuffling around. Also, sometimes the villagers don't seem to want to pathfind to their place because it's so far away for some reason. But I don't know. It gets weird. It's weird. I should probably make a proper path of sorts sometime, but I'm not gonna bother with that for now. Um, yeah, that's basically it. Um, this place is growing. It's about as big as it can get. I have ideas for what I want to put here. If I don't wind up making another villager place, another villager hut, like another home, another house, for them, I probably will put some sort of park or marketplace here. This sort of outskirts of the village market that I built, we didn't actually find its structure. It might have been removed and replaced with all those individual market stalls, now that I think about it. Oh, that's actually kind of sad. I guess that would make sense, though. This was filled with a ton of random heads, which I didn't bother to get. So now it looks a little bit bare like this. It just sort of is like, what else is supposed to be here? Like, you don't see anything resembling any goods or what have you, because, again, all of the heads were in the schematic. You don't know what the names are. In order to be able to get a head, with a, name, with, like, a player name, you need to name tag a snowman, I think, and then edit. No. Take a snowman and then kill it with a witch, or have a witch kill it, usually. As far as I know, that's what I last remember having seen someone do in order to be able to get a bunch of player skulls, with names and such. That might be something to test now that I'm actually in creative mode right now. So, that's the child. Dorothy Goring. Carry on, carry on. Okay, so, where should I hold my weird experiment? Also, I just realized I need to do it in a different world. Okay, now's the time to test it out. How do I get a player skull? Well, let's create a new world. Just put it in creative. World type default, customize, biomes aplenty. Generate structures on, allow cheats on, bonus chest off. Mechanics testing. Let's see if this works. I know, to be fair, I can't get the normal player skulls through the method that I'm about to go through in the other world because I need to be able to have mob spawning turned on. Oh, control click so that I have cheat mode on. Get pumpkins and snow. Oh, witch lights. Oh yeah, that's those. Also, Witch King's sword. Cool. Lord of the Rings. Neat. And then name tag. Item FF icon name. Oh, a dirt pet. Okay, what are those? I'm not gonna bother. Because that all looks very, very weird. I think those are all internal only items. I'm just gonna take a guess and probably right in that regard. What's the surrounding area supposed to look like? Oh, what are these trees? Olive trees. Ah, this is a shrubland. Okay, pretty cool. It's filled with biomes of plenty bushes, oak leaves, wood. Okay. Floating slime island. Over here is plains. Okay, so it has some rustic stuff in it. This is a brushland. Oh, and of course underneath this, it's a dark spot and there are mobs. Anyways, I'm gonna fly back on over to the spawn chunks. The place I started because, why don't I go over here? I'll also have to go underground now that I think about it because I want to spawn a snowman. And snow golem, that's what it's called. Oh, a cave! That helps! I can keep the snow golem. Let's just really quickly open this area up. I should also grab myself some iron bars. Okay, this way. Snow, pumpkin, and that. Then, I need to do an anvil real quick. Name tag, what's a player name? Well, how about my player name? Blue Dragon 240. Okay, so this should tell us whether this is a mod thing or whether it works normally. So the snow golem will try and attack the witch. The witch will attack the snow golem. Are they not physically close enough? Nope, just snowballs. Do you have to shear the pumpkin off? Hey, this is a good thing to ask the Minecraft Wikipedia. Obtaining. Da, 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 da. Oh, I did not know that Mojang was actually the ones responsible for creating all the MHF heads that are specifically like designed never to change. Huh. MHF and then some name, for example, Pig Zombie, will be the name of a Minecraft user whose skin will never change, you never have to worry about it, with a zombie pigman head. Oh, MHS stands for Mark's Head Format. There are also a few blocks and bonus heads for more variety. Oh, cool. Oh, you can get like Herobrine. Oh my god, the Herobrine skull. Removed Herobrine, except for the fact that it totally exists in the servers, but just the skull. Mushroom cow, zombie. There are arrows for up, down, left, right, exclamation mark, and question. Oh, cool. Okay, I guess there is no way to get it normally. I guess that might be a... Maybe that's a headcrumb thing. Maybe that was a server plugin. I remember seeing that at one point, though. But I guess the more you know. Do, 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 do. Anyways, I guess there is no way to obtain those skulls. That just sort of seems... I guess that explains why. I don't need this world anymore. I'm just gonna it. I can make a new one if I really want. There wasn't like any particularly interesting world gen in the spawn. It just sort of looked like, oh, there's a purple slime island. Actually, it wasn't even a proper purple slime island. It just had purple slime in it. But normal slimy grass. Where's that? I don't think there's purple slimy grass. Is there? Maybe not. Either way. Anyways, I'm back in this world. So yeah, the place looks cool. It builds itself up, too. I mean, well, with your helping hand, I guess, in collecting all the resources. So many resources. Even if you're in creative mode, it's like, oh my goodness, where do all these come from? Where do you expect all of them to come from? Ooh, another thing that I have noted that I fixed explicitly for this pack. Now, in Biomes of Plenty, there is the option to generate Biomes of Plenty soils. I've explicitly made it so that in the majority of Biomes of Plenty biomes that have custom soils, just generate Minecraft grass. If you choose to have the Biomes of Plenty soils, you will probably miss them, but you probably won't really care, because in some places it's just like, why does that exist? Why do you have a different colored grass there? That's really all, or dirt, basically, a different kind of loam or silty loam or whatever. So for example, in a pasture, there's normally supposed to be a ton of barley here. Like over here, there's normally just a ton of barley, but the grass here is normally supposed to be silty loam. Silty, yeah, it's this stuff, silty grass, silty dirt. That's what it is, silty dirt. It's supposed to be a little bit lighter than the stuff that's here. However, mine colonies requires you to have normal dirt. This means that you cannot just use the silty dirt or any other Biomes of Plenty dirt in place of this stuff. You can make grass paths with them, I think. Possibly. But I don't think there's actually, now that I think about it, there might not be. There's loamy grass path and normal grass path. So not all of them have a grass path even. So yeah, that's probably best that you actually do it like that. not to have it, the soils generate. I did in the config make it so that if you don't know to do that, that it does it automatically. No, there is no way to get it back without deleting those config files and letting them regenerate. You can do that if you want. It's easier if you want to settle in a pretty place like a pasture, especially places like the pasture, because the majority of biomes in Biomes of Plenty, if you generate a Biomes of Plenty world, and I recommend it because it just looks cooler, even if it's not super useful for your villagers to be able to use those logs because they can't. All the structures use the vanilla stuff. Even if your villagers can't, just go right ahead and make a Biomes of Plenty world if you think your system can handle that world. If you don't want it, fine. If you do want it, don't worry. You can build basically anywhere. There will be a few places that it's like, you probably won't want to build here because of all of the weird, like, terrain generation. Like, there's overgrown cliffs. Those are really narrow and small biomes. Those do have custom earth on them. It's actually grassy stone. Flowering grass block. Stone. Overgrown stone. That's what's normally there. Overgrown stone is the top block on that biome. Yeah, it's not supposed to be dirt. It's supposed to be overgrown stone. Which, not super apt for building upon. Normally you need a little bit of sink to be able to build upon. Unless you're building something massive. In which case, you do want the stone. But otherwise you want to just build your own foundation. The builders do it for you anyway. But yeah, you need dirt in order for them to be able to properly build. Otherwise, they request that you have a ton of dirt, which will just kind of get on your nerves. I got on mine when I originally started my survival world, and didn't have that config option set up, or that configuration set up. It's not an option. It's config files where there is basically the terrain generation is altered, set up in such a way that in Biomes of Plenty there is this config file so that you can go through and it's like layers 1 Minecraft grass 2 ... You get the idea. It's sort of like that. The general idea behind it is just so that you can customize the biomes to use like Minecraft grass or use different kinds of loam. I think it also allows the developers to, like modpack developers, to specifically make it all be barren if they wanted to. Just like how you can change some biomes to generate or not, you can default to a Biomes of Plenty world. And hi, I'm a bit. Oh my. Anyway, hi Andrew. Nice of you to stop by. Yeah, I know that person is just there. Delete their comment if you want. I don't think they're still around. Scream and chat if you are. Block them if you care to. They're just there. Just, I don't know. As I was trying to think and say, ooh, morning fog. I think that's a thing with dynamic surroundings. It's super cool. Another thing that dynamic surroundings does, I think, is give you auroras. Ooh, I should try and find a biome where that is so that we can end the stream with auroras. I think there's another mod called Stellar Sky that adds auroras that look really, really pretty. And if I remember correctly, The thing with Stellar Skies is that it gives you a really, really intricate, complicated skybox, and I mean it's beautiful and all, but it doesn't work with shaders if I remember correctly, or at least it didn't. It didn't like Optifine. I think that was in like 1.8 or 1.10 when Optifine and the shaders mod integrated. I don't know if that's still the case. Anyway, hey baby, hi Andrew, how's your day going? Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute, I have the ability to use the Nature's Compass. Now I can use the Nature's Compass. This mod doesn't support extended biome IDs. Report to JEID. Oh. Huh. Oh. Alps. Found. I do still have like a waypoint at my place, right? No, I don't. I will actually have to probably try and find my place home. I'm just waiting to see my baby later. Aww. Oh, baby. Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. Oh, you can see your breath. Oh, that's neat. Whoa. Whoa. Ooh-wee. Hills. Oh, what's this? That's trash can. Controls, category, way. Config screen is numpad 0. My number pad was off, that's why. Wayla, liquids. Hot spring water. Oh, cool. Anyways, overgrown stone. Yeah, that's what all of this is. That's one of the things that I left normal. Because I mean, if you're trying to build in the Alps, that's kind of your problem. I'm not gonna help you along in that. You do you, boo boo. Though it's not like super recommended you try. I mean, just look at this place. It's a mess. Alps, foothills, and then there's cold taiga, and oh my goodness, there's so much fog. I think that's part of dynamic surroundings. Anyways, oh yeah, blue shell from Earthworks. Yeah, so where you're going through a certain height, cloud height, there's a lot of fog around you, just so that it looks like you're in the middle of a cloud. Even if you're not going through like a physically visible cloud, you will still have to deal with that. And there are random spruce wood pillars here. Huh. What? whatever. I am going to do time out. 10, 1, 2, 3, 10,000. Did we get an aurora? Please tell me we get an aurora. An aurora! Ooh. My frame rate seems to be dipping because of this. My computer totally does not like the auroras. But I am gonna fall and look up anyways because it looks cool. Yeah, they're mostly yellow and green and they seem to have some sort of interpolation thing. And they seem to be mostly static in the sky. Yeah. They're still so cool. This looks awesome. But also kind of ugly because it's like, oh my god, that is such weird interpolation. It's just like, why? Why is it set up to look like that? I think there's an ability to make it look cooler, but I will say, the coolest aurora I have seen was, I think, from the Stellar Sky mod. If I'm not mistaken, it was from the Stellar Sky mod, and it was actually like physically, dynamically flowing ribbons. This just is like somewhat dynamic in the way that it seems to be like physically lighting up and sort of going through a visual cycle of like waves of dark and light in sort of sporadic places. But I mean, that's the best you get in terms of stuff. Anyway, time at 10, 1, 2, 3, 10,000. And the aurora, I think, will go away after a little while. See, it's already fading. Ooh, coral. Anyways, I need to look at my map and see exactly where my mine colony is. Now, I know it's not far from spawn chunks. Okay, so here. Ooh, oh, I just moved my window instead of. It said I would go through a crag somewhere. Crag is one of my favorite biomes, by the way. I saw crag around here somewhere. Ugh. Whatever, fine. Actually, search. Oh. I will need to go far. I can scroll, thank goodness. It's pasture. That's the closest pasture. That is the wrong direction for the pasture that I am looking for. I'm off for now. See you later, babe. Okay, see you later, babe. I do need to, rather quickly hurry onward. Temperate rainforest, and I am going to the cloud layer. Pasture, search. This direction. Yee-hoo. It's actually pretty much at 0-0. Or, well, pretty close. Yeah, that's a ravine. Oh, is that a jungle? Oh, yeah, like a naturally spawning jungle. Huh. Cool. And where am I now? In a bamboo forest. Cool. Oh god, no. Oh no. Ew, no. It's actually too quiet to even hear, so, like, that was supposed to be Love Me Like You Do. I can't even start singing it in a joking way. Whatever. There we go. Home again. This place looks really cool. I just sort of like the way that it's sprawled out, specifically just, well, it's small and yet it's still small. There aren't very many inhabitants, and yet there are so many. I guess I'm just sort of used to the more modern, centralized idea of how so few people, or how so many people usually work from like the same building. I mean, Anyways, let's toss that away. What's this? A dread lamp. Prevents natural spawning of passive animals like squids, bats, or ocelots in a big radius around the lamp. How does one normally make that? Oh, it's actually pretty easy. It's from Torchmaster. Cool. Also, Nature Chest and Nature Core. I don't know what those do. I think they're just like a place where you can... Anyways... Anyway, I think that's basically it for this. I mean, I could go a little bit further along in here. I could try and do like some building customization, but I'm not really in the mood to try and do that. Usually my creative process takes hours. When I'm in this world, I usually either let my creative juices just flow and I do a lot of monotonous tasks, like building these long roads, for example. I did that in a couple of hours. I just sort of let it go as I went along. I've spent a lot of time trying to get like the paths like these to look good too. I do need to do better block randomization, but for the most part what I've actually been trying to do is do not the effortless building block randomization. Normally that looks really good, but the way that it worked kind of makes it look a little bit too perfect. So what I've actually been doing, especially because of the fact that there are areas where there's gravel and then it sort of staggers out of gravel and then back into gravel, and then there's a lot more coarse dirt, and then there's no grass paths, and then there's a little bit of grass paths just to sort of add more variety, and then there's some over here, and just sort of all of that stuff. That's the main reason why I'm not fully going along with that block randomizer. I've been working on my randomization, and from above it looks a little bit weird, but when you're actually on the ground it looks still sometimes a little bit weird, but like, that's only if you focus really hard on it. If you're just sort of going along, you probably won't even notice it. It just looks cool in my opinion. But then you have the paths like these. I need to come up with a better way to transition from them, but that's about it in terms of what I really have to work on. I mean, these perfect pristine paths look really nice and perfect and pristine. This one, I will say, looks really nice because it's a nice immediate transition. Ooh, and you can see my footprint. On stone bricks and like polished stone type blocks like these, you won't see footprints. But on soft blocks, you will see footprints. If I'm walking along on the cobblestone, you won't see my footprints on the cobblestone. Hard blocks, no footprints. Why would you leave a indent where your feet are? Anywhere that there isn't something soft to step on. You would just step on it and it wouldn't do anything. There are no footprints on this cobblestone. I also just sort of realized that this looks a little fan-like if you look at it from this angle. Like, zoop, 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 zoop. But, I probably should add block randomization. Like, just flip variants of it. Although, maybe that wouldn't work with cobblestone now that I think about it. Crap. I'm betting that someone has made a, extended or flip variant version of the cobblestone for the new vanilla pack. I personally really like the new vanilla textures for stuff. I see how some people may dislike the wood. I think I personally like it way more. I think there is a new version that includes flipped variants and stuff, but it might require Optifine in order for it to work properly because it's one of the blocks that not allow alt versions. The majority of blocks I don't think allow alt versions. Maybe. I'm not sure. That might be something that another mod fixes or gives you the ability to do. I think Optifine Optifine is incompatible with this mod pack, by the way. You can't use shaders with this pack. Optifine is incompatible with it because of the flat colored blocks mod. They have a very weird thing where they just instantly sort of clash. And Optifine will always crash your pack once it loads up after the flat colored blocks mod is loaded up. So I think it might be something to do with how flat colored blocks has its own colorant engine, and trying to apply that next to Optifine's is not possible. So because of the fact that flat colored blocks relies on that color system, there are thousands and hundreds of colors, and it even does some ID work. You could expect that Optifine will clash with that sort of mod. It's another one of the reasons why I think Optifine has some problems with Tinker's Construct. I don't know if it's... Well, I think it also has some problems with some color drawing, when you... or liquid drawing, that's what I'm trying to say. Liquid colors and drawing and stuff of that nature, but that's usually when you have shaders enabled, and those don't even... The shader engine doesn't even run unless you have its shader pack running. Otherwise, what would be the point of running off a ton of useless junk? Anyways, I think I'm gonna leave it off here. Um, I'm babbling on. I kind of. Um, I had a late lunch, but it's dinner time, so I think I'm gonna leave you off here. A 2.5 hour stream. I started a little late, but that's all right. I kind of just wanted to draw Build-a-ville, first of all, because Mine Colonies is really cool, and some people probably don't give it the credit that it deserves. Or some people probably just don't give it the time of day because they don't think about it, or they don't know about it. But also, Build-a-ville is just cool, and I wanted to be able to put it in a video. I don't know why I've adopted this voice, it just sort of sounds like a valley girl. I sound so snide and so... I sound like a twat. I wouldn't say twat like a valley girl, though. I would say twat, because they're all twats. Oh god, no offense to the valley girl. Unless you're just really dumb and really rude. That's the kind of valley girl that deserves insult. But then again, that's the kind of person who deserves insult, not just a valley girl. You can make fun of the sort of tone of voice. That's the only thing, really. Just like New Jersey people, besides the fact that the state is completely and utterly boring. I mean, the Garden State. That's what they want to be. The Garden State. Good luck with that. Anyways, that should do it. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from moi. Hit the bell for notifications as to when I go live. I go live on Sundays at 6 p.m. U.S. Central Time. That is 7 o'clock U.S. Eastern and 4 o'clock U.S. Pacific. I don't know what time it is in various European time zones. There are, of course, many European time zones. I generally try and give you all of the options if you know relative what at least someone in the US has time-wise to you. That way you can adjust. Just go off of the US Central Time if you're really trying to find out what it is, though. Anyway, I also stream on Thursdays with my boyfriend Andrew. He stopped by a little bit for a little while earlier. Hi Andrew. Hi babe. We stream on Thursdays at 7 p.m. US Central Time. We go for 2 hours. Both streams only go until 9 p.m. US Central. It's 3 hours on Sunday, 2 hours on Thursday. Thursdays, right now we are doing the Zero Escape series. We have a full backlog of the first 2 games. We are currently doing the third. If you want to also watch the other backlogs of other various series that I have done, of streams, my other mod pack that I have developed for 112, that one is a lot more like intensive. It has a lot of tech and magic focus. It has bigger tech integration. I wanted to integrate the magic into it, but I didn't really see the need. It's kind of a baby's first mod pack redux, because the first time I tried doing a baby's first mod pack, it was crap. that was baby's first quest pack. I also deleted that, so don't bother trying to find it. You aren't going to. It wasn't working anyway. I also kept forgetting to delete my player data file whenever I used the save game, because yes, I used a save game instead of just like a special mod that would give me a structure at a specific location, because at the time I was too lazy to learn how to do it. Anyway, that should do it. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more. Wait, I'm just going through the same thing again. Never mind. Thank you all so much for watching last time. This is Guys Pissing off. Until next time, take care. I'll see you guys. Bye. That was the right outro. Goodbye. I'll leave it there. Also, pretty sunrise. Everyone's getting awake. And some people are not going to do their job, but that's fine. That's fine. What am I do? Lazy ass villagers. Bye, guys.